How many games will the Los Angeles Chargers win in 2025? Uh, what's going on? The Dent Chargers. What's going on, Chargers fans? Time to bolt up the NFL predictions here. I'm giving you my record predictions for the Los Angeles Chargers for the 2025 NFL season. I'm going to give you my game analysis, my game thoughts to see which games I think the Chargers would win and which games I think the Chargers are going to lose. So before I give you my record predictions for the Los Angeles Chargers for the 2025 NFL season, don't forget to put thumbs up to the video, subscribe to my channel for more options, and comment down your opinion below to see how good you think the Chargers are going to be. Do you think the Chargers are going to make the playoffs? Do you think they'll win division? Or do you think they're going to miss out on the playoffs? Just let me know in the comment section below what you guys think. All right, so week one, we got the Chargers playing against the Kansas City Chiefs. Obviously, this game right here can go either way. Now, I can see a game where I think the Chargers can win, but at the same time, I think it could go either way. But at the same time, this game's in Brazil on a Friday, but I'm gonna go with the Chiefs here, and the reason for it is that I just think the Chargers are gonna have difficulties offensively moving the ball on the Chiefs because the Chiefs' defense is so solid. Like they can get after you, they don't allow you to run them over. They don't really give up any big plays. Like I feel like Greg Roman. Like I just don't really know if the Chargers are really gonna have the coaching to out scheme the Chiefs. Like I think the Chiefs, Spags have done a really good job against the Chargers offense through the past. But I kind of feel like, the Chiefs might get up early. They could totally blow the Chargers out. But I feel like there's a way I think, the Chargers can win this game if their defense can get a pass rush on Mahomes, force some mistakes, and if their offensively can control the game, keep Mahomes on the sidelines. But I wouldn't rule out the Chargers winning this game, but I have a feeling that the Chiefs are going to win this game, especially they're good outside of the United States. Then week 2 against the Las Vegas Raiders on a Monday night in Vegas. Vegas kind of a tough place to play at. The Raiders are interesting. I know they got Geno Smith, they got Pete Carroll, but the players, they got some weird weapons like Jacoby Myers, Rob Bowers, and Ashton Genty. So yeah, obviously, I'm probably gonna go ahead and just say the Raiders are gonna steal this game because I have a feeling that the Raiders are kind of that team where I think they can steal a game, they can upset an opponent. I think the reason why I think the Raiders will win this game is because the Raiders usually play the Chargers tough, and I feel like their defense can give the Chargers offense some fits. Because even we seen that a couple years ago, like the Raiders did dismantle them and put 60 plus points on the Chargers. So yeah, so I think the Raiders will find a way to win this game. Now, next game, another division game. They play against the Denver Broncos at home in LA. I think this is where the Chargers pick up their first win. I just have a feeling that the Chargers, defensively, I think they pretty much own the Broncos and own the line of scrimmage. I think offensively, I think they can find a way to at least with an improved offensive line, I think they can stalemate the Broncos pass rush to put their offense to stay balanced and all that to keep the Broncos defense off balance. But at the same time, I think the Chargers are just it's hard to say, but the Broncos do have a better defense and the Chargers defense isn't good. But I'm gonna go with the Broncos. I'm thinking the Chargers will win the first game because it's in LA. And don't forget the Chargers did sweep them last season. So yeah. Next game, week 4 against the New York Giants. This is a tricky game. This is a game that can go either way, but for some reason, I think that the Giants are just gonna like pull off the upset against the Chargers because I just feel like the Giants, with their pass rush, I feel like it's probably going to give the Chargers offense and Justin Herbert problems because remember, the Giants have a really good front four like Abdul Carter, Dexter Lawrence, um, Kayvon Thibodeau, and Brian Burns. Like, I think the Giants pass rush can probably give the Chargers offense fits, but don't forget the Chargers got to deal with some weapons. Like, they got to deal with Russell Wilson, they got to deal with Malik Neighbors, and all that. I don't think the Chargers defense will have an answer for Malik Neighbors. So yeah. So I think as long as the Giants offensively can get something going, I think there's a chance I think the Giants can pull this one off. But I would not be shocked if the Chargers win this game because the Chargers are the much more complete team and have a better quarterback and they have the better coaching staff. But I just have a feeling that the Giants are going to steal this game just because I think, this is a West Coast team going to East, playing New York, because playing New York is tricky and it could be weather dependent. So that's why I think the Giants will beat the Chargers. All right, next game, week 5 against the Washington Commanders. This is an interesting game. Now, it could go either way. Now, most people are like picking the Commanders to win because of Jaden Daniels, though. But I'm going to say the Chargers are going to bounce back and beat the Commanders. And here's why. I just have a feeling that the Chargers, I just think that, the Commanders don't really have much of a pass rush to get after Herbert or disrupt Herbert. I think the Chargers' O-line will come to play. I think they can run the ball on the Commanders because the Commanders' run defense was very weak last year. So I think the Chargers can run the ball on them. And I think defensively, I think they can find a way to like get after Jaden Daniels and like fool Jaden Daniels. But I'm really not too worried about your secondary. But as long as you crowd the blocks, I think you know they should be fine. Because I feel like they will. I feel like this game could be close. It could be a shootout. But I think the Chargers find a way to win this game at home in LA. Then next game, week 6 against the Miami Dolphins. Now this is another far travel. This is a California team traveling to Florida in Miami, where it's a tough place to play at. Now the Dolphins do have a lot of speed on offense, though, which that could be a challenge, though. But I like how the Chargers play that soft zone coverage against the Dolphins, and I think their physicality is where I think the Chargers will pick up this win. I think the reason why I think the Chargers will win this game against the Dolphins is because the Dolphins, they're just least like they're probably going to take a step back this year. I mean, they have a lot of flaws in the offensive line and the secondary. So I think Herbert can do enough to throw the ball through the air against the Dolphins secondary, which is pretty bad. So they can take advantage of that. But I kind of have a feeling that, as long as the Chargers defense don't really give up big plays to Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, I think they'll be fine. And then I think they'll be fine if they can get a pass rush on Tua. And the Chargers really have a better offensive line, which I think they can stalemate the Dolphins. And I think they'll run the ball better than the Dolphins as well, because I don't think the Dolphins are going to be able to run the ball really good on them. Because I think the Chargers defense will come to play. Because I think the Chargers defensive line matches up well with the Dolphins O-line, which is not good. And I just think the Chargers, they're just, I know it's in Miami, but I think the Chargers are a more complete team and have the better quarterback and the better coaching staff. And, yeah, and I feel like Harbaugh is built to like building a roster. He's set to build a roster that's manufacturing like aggressiveness and a power running team and all that. So yeah. So I feel like this game will be close, but I would not be shocked if the Dolphins pull off this upset. So yeah, but I think the Chargers find a way to win that game. Next game, week 7 against the Indianapolis Colts. I think they'll beat the Colts. Now, both these rosters are similar to each other, but the reason why I got the Chargers beating the Colts is because the Chargers, they just like they're just like the more complete team and have a better coaching staff and have a better quarterback as well. And they're at home. Colts, I'm really not for sure who the quarterback's going to be. Is going to be Anthony Richardson or Daniel Jones. If it's Daniel Jones, I don't really know if they're going to be able to throw the ball but the Chargers defense, could, like I said, is really good against the pass and sometimes against the run. Now the question is, I don't really think the Colts will have the passing game to get after that. But you know what? I have a feeling that the Colts, like, if they can't run the ball, I think they'll play in the Chargers' hand, which I think their defense is probably going to come to play. And I think they'll run the ball a little bit better than the Colts. And I think their O-line can, like, find a way to at least control the Colts' pass rush and all that. So, yeah. And also, like I said, Herbert's a better quarterback than Anthony Richardson. That is not really funny. Is not even funny anymore. So, yeah. I mean, the Chargers, that's a win right there. Then week 8 against the Minnesota Vikings on a Thursday, short week in LA. This is interesting though. It could go either way, but I'm leaning towards the Chargers to win this game because I feel like Herb Harbaugh and JJ McCarthy know each other really well. So I think the Chargers find a way to win that game at home. So yeah. And I just have a feeling that when I look at the Chargers, I just have a feeling that, Brian Flores against Herbert is really good matchup. But I like Herbert more than Flores because I feel like Herbert, he can see the field really well. He can make some throws against a bad secondary in Minnesota. But if I feel like if the Vikings try to blitz Herbert so much, they'll be in trouble. And unlike the Lions, I have a feeling that, the Chargers, can get after that secondary. Because if Flores try to blitz too much, I think Herbert can make him pay. Because, like I said, Herbert is really good at seeing the field really well. He's good at reading coverages, picking up blitz packages. And I think the Chargers can totally take advantage of that as well. So, yeah. And I think their offensive line can at least control the Vikings pass rush to keep their defense off balance. So, yeah. And a rookie in LA is kind of tricky. I think the Chargers defense can totally give JJ some issues as well. So, yeah. So I feel like as long as you don't give up big plays to Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison and TJ Hockenson, they should be fine. And as long as they stop the running game, I think they should be fine. So, yeah. It will be close, but I think the Chargers pull this one off. Then week 9, they got to play against the Titans. Obviously, I think they'll beat the Titans. Like, the Chargers got the better quarterback, better coaching staff, more complete team. I really think, yeah. Titans are not a very good team. Their offensive line is dreadful. Their defense is solid, but not great. I think Herbert can take advantage of that. And I think their defense can totally take advantage of an overwhelming offensive line in Tennessee. So, yeah. Then week 10, they got to play against the Steelers in primetime on Sunday Night Football. This game right here is going to be interesting, though. I do think the Chargers will win this game. And the reason for that is that I just have a feeling that the Chargers, I think their offensive line can still make the Steelers pass rush, which I think they can. So I think that will allow the Chargers to run the ball better than the Steelers. Now, I think their Chargers defense, can come to play, which I think, I feel like they can stop the Steelers run game, and I think they can stop their passing game as well. Like, I feel like as long as they don't really give up big plays to DK, I think they should be fine. And I think Herbert will outplay Rodgers. So, yeah. And, so I think this game will be close, but I think the Chargers find a way to pull this one off. Week 11, they play against the Jags in Jacksonville. This is a tricky game. This could go either way, but I could see the Chargers winning because they got the more proven coaching staff. So yeah, and I think they're just a much more complete team. But for some reason, I think Jacksonville's gonna win. Now here's why. I feel like Jacksonville has proven to me they can beat the Chargers. Like even against that playoff game from a few years ago, like the Chargers were up by like a lot of points, and all of a sudden they end up blowing it in the fourth quarter, where Jacksonville starts to like play physical football. I kind of really feel like Jacksonville. I don't think their defense is great, but I just really feel like that Brian Thomas and Travis Hunter are just going to be too much for the Chargers secondary to handle because they don't really have the corners to match up well with those receivers. And I think Trevor Lawrence can pick them apart and take advantage of that. But I think offensively, I think they can control the game, keep Herbert on the sidelines and all that. So yeah. But I feel like if Jacksonville, I think if they can get a pass rush on Herbert, they should be fine. But even though the Chargers do have the better O line, and a better defense, but I just feel like going to Florida, going to Duval is a like a tough place to play. Like same thing like Miami, like two Florida teams. Like I say, like they're gonna at least win one of these Florida games. Like they're gonna lose one of them though. Like I don't think they're gonna lose both. I just got them beating the Dolphins just because the Chargers are way better than the Dolphins. But the Chargers are better than the Jags. But I think they'll lose to Jacksonville just because Jacksonville, I think they'll probably like out physical the Chargers. Like they know how to play the Chargers very well, so that's why I think the Jags will win. Then they get a bye week 12. Then week 13 they play against the Las Vegas Raiders at home. They'll split with the Raiders, so I think the Chargers win because they get extra time to prepare and extra time to rest because it's a bye week. And I just think the Chargers, they're just like the much more complete team and have the better quarterback and better coaching, and they're at home. Like the Raiders may not have much to play for because I don't think the Raiders are going to make the playoffs this year, and the Chargers are looking to at least clinch a playoff berth. So yeah, so that's why I think the Chargers will win that game. Week 14 against the Philadelphia Eagles on Monday night in LA. This is going to be a tricky game though because this could go either way. I kind of went back and forth in this game, and I called a trap game saying that maybe the Eagles could steal one, maybe the Chargers could steal one. Like, this is tough. I really want to come back to that one, but I don't really know. So, so yeah, so basically, I kind of really feel like, you know, this is tough though, but this is my trap game. But I'm going to go with Philly. I just think Philly's just a much more complete team. And I just don't really know if the Chargers have the coaching to out scheme the Eagles. Like, I just think the Eagles, I just really think that, you know, the Eagles, have the better receiving core. And I just really think A.J. Brown, Dallas Goddard, Devonta Smith is just going to be too much for, the secondary to handle. So, so I just really think that the Eagles defense can come to play, and I think Vic Fangio will find a way to at least like confuse Herbert. And I kind of really feel like that, their secondary's young. I think they can like find a way to at least cover Lad McConkey. So yeah, I like the matchup, and I feel like they're off. I don't know if the Chargers defense is going to be able to handle against an overpowering offensive line. The Eagles, like I said, they have skill group that they got to deal with, like Saquon Barkley, AJ Brown, Devonta Smith, uh, Dallas Geyer. Like, yeah. So I think the Eagles will win. I think Hurts will beat Herbert. Then against the Chiefs, obviously, I just really think that this is I think the Chargers will split with the Chiefs. I think the Chargers play the Chiefs really well, and I kind of really feel like that the Chargers defense which I thought they could have at least won against the Chiefs. They could have won last year against the Chiefs, but I think this year I think the Chargers will do it. And plus, they got more to play for because I think the Chargers will probably be a team that will make the playoffs this year. And I have the Chiefs making the playoffs. So, yeah, both teams will be in the playoffs. So, I think the Chargers will win. Week 16, they play against the Dallas Cowboys. Obviously, this is another game that can go either way. Now, most people are picking the Chargers to win because they're the much more physical team. But for some reason, I'm going the Cowboys as an upset. I think the Cowboys can match the Chargers' physicality. They proved to me that I just think the Cowboys, their receiving core is better than the Chargers, and I kind of really feel like the Chargers don't really have the corners to match up well with the Cowboys receiving core. But I think CeeDee Lamb and Pickens will be a problem. Um, yeah, and I think their pass rush is solid. And I feel like if they can stop the Chargers' running game, force them in bad position, I think they'll find a way to win. And I think they're even though they can't run the ball, I think they can stay balanced offensively. And I kind of really feel like that the Chargers defense I feel like they probably get overwhelmed there by the Cowboys because I kind of really like how the Chargers defense played that soft zone coverage against Cowboys and all that. But and the Cowboys do got good corners that can match up well with the Chargers receiving core. So I don't think the Cowboys defense will get overwhelmed there. So yeah, I mean there's a chance I think the Chargers can win, but I think Dallas finds a way to pull it off. Week 17 against the Texans on a Saturday. This is a game that can go either way. For some reason, I think the Chargers will win because I think the Chargers are just like the more. I think their defense will come to play. I think they can get after Stroud, and I think offensively they can control the game, keep Stroud on the sidelines, and all that. I mean, there's a chance that the Texans can. I just think the Texans defense is good, but you know I just think Stroud could struggle on it, especially a bad offensive line, can't, they don't travel well. And I think the Chargers pass rush can totally give CJ Stroud tons of fits. But I kind of remember in that playoff game that the Texans defense did, come to play, where their defense was totally, getting after Herbert. I can see it doing again, and D'Amico Ryans, has a good recipe for that. But at the same time, I think the Chargers will win. And then last game against the Broncos, depending on they need to win this game to make the playoffs, I think the Broncos will win just because, I just don't see the Chargers sweeping the Broncos at all. And I feel like the Broncos have much to play for because they're a team that's probably going to make the playoffs or they can barely miss it. So, yeah. So, as of now, I got the Chargers sitting at 10-7. I think, I think the 10-7 is good enough for the Chargers to make the playoffs, but this could totally be a team that can totally make it outside the playoffs. Like, yeah. Like, I think they'll probably be fighting with the Broncos and Chiefs in the division because I think I got the Chiefs slipping a little bit because of Super Bowl hangover. So, yeah. So, as you look at the Chargers' schedule, it's tough. They have to play the Chiefs twice. They even got to play the Broncos twice, the Commanders, the Eagles, the Cowboys, the Steelers, the Vikings, and the Texans. Like, this is a tough schedule, but I feel like the only teams you don't play is the Niners and Rams or the Bucks, the Packers or Lions, and they don't play the Ravens or the Bengals or the Bills or the unimproved Patriots team. So yeah, that's a tough schedule. So yeah, so I think the Chargers can go somewhere from like 10 to like I can see them being as good as 12-5, 13-4, but I think they'll go somewhere from like 9 to 11 wins, maybe 12-5 at best, 8-9 at worst. I mean, that's how I see for the Chargers. I still have them making the playoffs and maybe getting that final wild card spot, depending on what the Steelers do, depending on what the Broncos do. So yeah. So yeah, I think the Chargers will be a good team this year again, but I don't see them doing any better than 11-6. But yeah, but if they can make some more improvements at wide receiver and maybe improve their secondary a little bit, they can be a dangerous team and get more of a pass rush. So yeah. So just let me know in the comments section below how you feel about the Chargers. So yeah, well, thank you guys for watching. See you guys later. Peace.